Hi guys, Eric Barfield here from Patch Foundry to walk you through a little bit about the new worship collection. These are a collection of all of the best presets we could come up with for worship musicians. And it's geared for worship musicians. It can be used kind of by anybody, but most of the patches are a little more on the ambient side and are geared towards things like CCM, contemporary Christian music type things. So without further ado, let me just jump in and we'll show you what we got. Okay, so a little bit about my setup here before we get started. I'm going to be using an Apogee Quartet as my audio interface and my audio output. That's not really necessary, but something nice to have if you have it. I'm also going to be using for my controller two things. One, I've got a Nord stage, which I love the action on, and I think I'll just use that. And then for the controls, I'm actually going to use this Axiom Air 32 made by M Audio. And between all these three things, I'm going to show you how you could set this up. Now, you don't need any of this stuff here unless you want to just, go nuts. The only thing you really need would be a MIDI controller. I have a list of really good ones on the website. You can probably Google them and find other ones. So I've just connected these all via USB. And I'm going to show you what we've got set up. So I've just downloaded Worship Collection. I'm going to drag this to my desktop and double click it to open it up. When I do that, I'm going to have two files in here. I'll have an installation and setup, which includes a bunch of different things that will get you started on some things with the Worship Collection in general. And then I also have all the patches. We have pianos, which include electric pianos, grand pianos, which I have spent literally 5 years trying to get these pianos as good as they can possibly get using the samples in Logic and MainStage. Miscellaneous pianos, which are mostly in FM pianos, but that'll change over time. And then upright pianos. These I'm extremely excited about. I took the only upright piano sound that they have in MainStage and tweaked the crap out of it. And I think it sounds really good. For pads, we have a collection here of just some great background type pads that you can use to kind of fill out a mix. We also have three categories under synths, organs, and strings. And these are exactly what you'd expect. B3 organ, strings, which include like mellotrons, staccato stuff, and a bunch of other things, and then synths. Right now, these are all just our standard pluck type synths. Nothing too fancy, but good stuff for worship. Extras is everything else. It includes accordions, bells, brass, choirs. I've even got this emergency guitar patch, which I'll demo a little bit later in case the guitar player doesn't show up. And then if you're really bored on the song, you've even got a hand percussion thing. And then we have combos, which include combinations of all four of these first, or any combination of that. So like we have EP and pad and a bunch of others. Now, these are so much that I've left them separate so that you can load these in whenever you want, and you don't have to worry about CPU this way. So let me show you how to set that all up. The spot you'll go to is patchfoundry.com/free MainStage templates. And when you get here, you'll be able to download whatever template exactly matches your controller. And I have mappings for over 100 here. We're adding almost every single day. And for mine, I'm just going to tap on the Axiom Air 32 right here. And it will download to here in my download folder, and it should come up like this. Again, I'm going to drag it down here and double tap it. What's amazing about this is that each one of these patches will have mappings specifically for your MIDI controller, so you don't have to try and assign stuff. And I don't know of anybody else who does that. So I'm going to double tap this now, and there's a couple things in here to look at. First one, we have the Axiom Air 32 Concert. We'll open that in a second. I have a coupon code. Shh, this is a secret. You can get 15% off anything in the store with this code. So just put that in and you'll get it. And then we also have installation on how to map your controller and more here. So for the moment, I'm just going to double tap this. And there we go. We have our patch. Now, none of these buttons are going to work with my Axiom Air until I map them. Although we do have one knob per function here, which is great. So I'm going to be able to control everything using my Axiom Air. But first I have to hook it up. So I'll go over here to my layout mode here in the left-hand corner. And all I have to do is tap here, hit assign, and then wiggle the controller. So I'm going to just keep moving on. Got this one here, 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 and here. And then I'm going to get my backward and forward. I think I'll do this one with that assignment, this one with that assignment, and then, man, I tell you what, I think the tap tempo, I'm going to make the record button here. So I'll do that as well. And I'm done. Now, I should be able to trigger this using my Nord sustain pedal. And I'm going to test that right now. Yep, there it is. That should by default work. And then something I've learned to love is the expression pedal. I've mapped mappings for every single patch to have something to do with the expression pedal, with the exception of pianos. And yep, it's coming in there. And then I've got my modulation wheel, which I need to map as well. And then pitch, there it is. Now, let's start getting in some of the patches that we bought. First thing I'm going to do is drag this to the side. Well, actually, you know, let's drag it to the side and we'll hide it. And then I'm going to come over here and go to my pianos. And let's get in a few grand pianos. I'm going to select here and select all. By the way, if you'd like to know exactly where to install all this stuff and how to set it up, I have an install video that you can take a look at that comes with your documentation. Now let's turn this over here and I'm going to drop it into grand pianos. And let's just play through some of these real quick. I'm going to start off with the Atmos Y piano. Really beautiful stuff for worship. Octave S piano. Stabby type. Then we've got an octave Y piano, same sort of principle but with a different sample. And just a standard S piano. Stutter piano, which is kind of a delay. This one's called Underwater piano, which I'm going to be using this expression pedal, I think, on this one. So this would be really good for like a more moody song, like. Thing about this is I have different presets assigned to each individual knob on here. So for instance, like this one's great, but I think I'm going to use my Axiom Air to bring up the reverb mix a little bit. That kind of creates some cool mud. That's very moody and awesome. Okay, next thing up, we got a Y piano. Just real basic. Let's get in a few more here. So I'm going to go back over to my Finder, and let's grab in our upright pianos. Select all. I'll just very quickly move through some of these. These take just a second to load. I'm running this on a 2013 MacBook Pro, and it's pretty old, but it seems to hold up pretty good. So this is that upright piano I'm so excited about. So you can really get some nice, like, this one's called Crushed. It's really designed, kind of an extreme take on it, but fun to mess around with. Lots of fun. I detuned this piano quite a bit, down an octave. An octave piano. Really good for worship. Room upright. This one is just kind of your standard upright piano you'd find in the back, maybe rehearsal place for the choir. Squash piano, really hard compressed. This has a sustain that lasts for a long time. Then tape. This is supposed to simulate kind of a old-fashioned 80s high-fidelity tape. And then U piano, this is just your basic bread and butter piano. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close these down now that we've done that. Let's keep on adding here. I'm going to add in the miscellaneous pianos. These are just FM pianos. And again, the idea would not be that you'd have all of these loaded in, but at the same time, because it might tax your CPU a little bit too much, but you've got options. So chorus on this one. I'm not sure where that would fit, but I guarantee you, with the 80s coming back, you know somebody's going to want this in their worship set. Okay, now just to reduce the CPU load a little bit, I'm going to take out a few of these, and I'll show you here in just a bit how to come back and work on them. So I'm going to take out the upright pianos, we'll close these down. Now the electric pianos, again, I try to give you a wide range. Let's take a look at some of them. I've got the electric pianos, grab this, put it in here, and drop it. By the way, these are loaded into 4 slots. So you've got the grand pianos here, upright, miscellaneous, and electric. Those will all fit into slot 1. Slot 1 is basically the first set of mappings. So each, the great thing about this, unlike other programs, you can customize your own mappings. So if you want to add more to this, all you'd have to do is tap on something and hit map. And like, I don't know, maybe I want to turn the gain up on my amp. Just tap it here, and EP gain is mapped up automatically. That's very hard to do in other programs. And this is one of the only programs I know, or setups with MainStage, that works this way. So close that down. Let me go back here to the 5th EP. So this one, kind of a spacey deal, an atmospheric EP. Really good for some of that more modern worship. This is just your standard EP. Just very nice, bread and butter. This one's called High EP, which is kind of an experimental one I messed around with. This is the only one where if you adjust the expression pedal, it'll remove the highs. Modern EP. Spring. Stage EP, very basic. Vibe. This one again, lots of pitch tweaking here. Which again, I really like, but if you use the reverb knob here to bring up that, it kind of creates this endless pad behind it. Dial that back a hair. And then my favorite EP of all, the Wurlitzer. And I don't know how many hours working on that sound. And I purposely made that sound like a Joni Mitchell song. From the 60s. If you know it, you know it. I have a second Wurlitzer here, which is sort of a more of like a, if you know what that one is, kind of in your face, but again, if you dial up that reverb, sounds pretty good. Moving on, we've got a few here in the pad section that I'm very excited about. I'll go to Finder, let's go back, and pads are going to load up into the second section. And the great thing about breaking this into sections like this is that you can combine blue, dark blue, blue, green, and purple together to create multi-patches. And we put that into the combo section here. So I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, but let's go over some of these sounds real quick too. Bring in all the bright pads and fuzzy pads and all the other fuzzy pads. And again, I've created two sets of things here. One, you can use your modulation wheel, but I have found that the expression pedal, if you have one on your keyboard, just does unbelievably awesome things to your expressiveness live. So I'm going to mostly be using that, but again, you can kind of use whatever one you like the best. So let's start at the top here. Here's my bread and butter pad. There it is with the expression, or I'm sorry, with the modulation. Okay, here's with my expression. Again, if I'm going to use the expression, I have to have modulation all the way up. bit of pitch bend there. And that's all the pads. And we'll be adding extra bundles here very soon. Check back to Patch Foundry to see if we have them. So that's all the pads. That's the only thing you load into section 2 because pads are so central to worship music. I don't think I've ever played a set where I don't have pads at least on almost every song. The next 3 sections are synths, organs, and strings. Let's throw some synths in here. I'll go back to my synths, organs, strings, and here's my synths. And I just grabbed about 5 just to get us started. And again, we'll be adding expansion packs in the future. FM synth. And again, you can also sweep this with either expression or modulation. Let's see. Nice and thick. I play with a contemporary Christian artist where I use this exact patch. Okay, and that's all the synths. Take those out. Organs, again, I have been through about 4 iterations of these organs. I have messed and messed and messed with them, and I'm pretty happy with the way they sound. I'm going to drop in just some of the basic ones here. So I'll just run through a couple of these. Calm. Choir. Club. And light. One I named after I've used this one on a couple of sessions here in Nashville. Older organ. We'll go through pure. And then wobble. Those are all our organs. Then we've got a bunch of interesting string stuff. Again, lots of iterations on this. It took a long time to find stuff I was proud of. Let me put this in here. My favorite one here, I've been incredibly narcissistic and named after myself. It's called Eric Strings. The reason I like this is it's a combination of staccato and legato, and it depends on how hard you hit the keys. So a nice light touch is going to create this. And then you can access the staccato by just striking a little harder. bite out of that. We have a bunch of stuff here. Some mellotron. Cellos. Again, you could do the same thing I'm doing with the expression using the modulation, like this. And growing strings. Kind of creates a cool rise and fall. Some pizzicato. You might know that one. Soft strings. You can almost use those as a pad behind something. Staccato. And then really nice mellotron feel. And then some kind of 90s sampled strings. I actually worked with a client on creating some patches, and I couldn't believe that this was the string sound that worked the best. So those are our strings. Very proud of the way those turned out. And last but not least, we have a bunch of extras. Let me fire these up real quick. So I've got the extras here. I'm just going to drag them in. And the great thing about this is you can pretty much make these anything you want, because most of the mappings that will be up here are going to be replaceable. Meaning you could swap out, for instance, the input here to something else, and you're not going to lose many mappings. So let's turn here. Here's a few. I've got an accordions. A couple different ones. The quintessential bell. Some really massive brass sounds. You get a Mumford & Sons in. Choir. Another choir. And then again, if your guitar player doesn't show up, here's your chance. Not the greatest sound, but gets you by in a pinch. Hammer dulcimer. This is one of my favorite instruments. Hand percussion. Your stomps, your clicks, claps. So, in case you're into the Latin worship thing, or just, you know, if there's nothing on a song, you could do like chain breaker, just, and there you go. And then harp. Those are all the extras. Now, again, the great power of this is being able to combine multiple ones together. I'm going to show you some of these combos. Again, they're very CPU heavy, just because there's just a ton of samples that you're loading in at the same time. Let's start off with some basic stuff. I've got a piano pad here. I'll drag and drop, and then I'll show you how to make your own here. So I've got a piano. And again, that cutoff's down. I'm going to bring it up with my expression. Really beautiful stuff. And we have tons of these. I'll just give you a demo of a few of them. We'll do an EP pad here. This one's kind of cool. here, and then we can get really big combinations with groups like this. Let's see. I think one of the big ones is orchestral goodness. How could this not be good? And it's in. And again, so much power there. Now, real quickly, I said you can combine these. I'll show you very quickly how to do that, and then that's all for today. Let's just grab a piano pad combination. I'm going to grab a C piano, which I really like, drop it into my grand piano sounds, and it's here. And then let's go over here, and I'm going to also grab a pad. And I think the one I really liked was this one called Distant Pad. I'm going to drop this into my pad section. And now I'm just going to tap on Distant Pad, and while holding Command, tap on C pad. Now I'm going to right click, or you could control click on the top one here, and it says New Patch from Selected Patches. What this does is combine both sounds together. And because they're in the light blue and the dark blue sections, they're not going to have overlapping mappings. So I'll tap here. It's called Untitled Patch. Now, a little housekeeping. I'm going to select both of the channel strips here, and we're going to create a patch bus, which means I'll be able to control the volume of just this patch using the knob up here. So I'll say insert new patch bus. I'm going to call it patch, and then I'm going to tap here and hit override concert mapping. We're just going to make a quick mapping of this. Then I'll tap on unmapped, map parameter, and then I'm going to tap here. And now I can use my controller to control this, and when I switch to another patch, the volume doesn't change for the overall concert mapping. Okay, now let's also call this piano pad. And I'm going to turn off program change, and change the icon to the mixer so that I know what it is. And now, oh man, that sounds really good. Let's turn up the reverb. There we go. There you go. Now, again, one of the other major advantages to using this template versus other products on the market for MainStage is that you can very quickly and easily use any MainStage patch in this template without having to be locked into somebody's ecosystem. So let me show you how to adjust that. I'm going to just use one of MainStage's stock ones here. I'll hit the plus button, and then let's just go to patch library down below here, and then we'll go down to instrument, and then mallets. I don't think we have any mallets. Let's tap on vibraphone, and there it is. No problems with it. It automatically routes correctly the whole 9 yards. If you want to add a mapping for maybe volume here, it's really simple. Just tap on any one of these. I'll tap here, hit map, and then tap. Map and tap. And now I can adjust volume. And there you go. So this is one of the most flexible, powerful, pro level things that I've been able to find. I've spent the better part of 7 years trying to figure out a way to make this all work together. I feel like we finally nailed it. And if you have any other questions about this, just leave a comment below, or you can visit us at patchfoundry.com. Thank you so much and happy gigging.